On the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drives to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio. Listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right, we're back and still are recording here. Yep. All right, David Shurter is my guest today, and David, you have a fascinating story. You were raised in basically a satanic household. You're from childhood. You've been subjected to molestation or worse. We haven't gone into any details, and I'm not sure that I want to. Why are you doing this now? Why are you coming out? You could have stayed quiet. You could have stayed with the system. You would have been protected. Why come out? Why do this book? And give me the name of your book and where they can get it, please.
My book is called Rabbit Hole: Satanic Ritual Abuse Survivor Story, and you can get it on Amazon. And also on Kindle. If you have a Kindle, that's the cheapest way to go. I sometimes am able to give it away for free, but I have a marketing team that doesn't allow me to just give it away for free. But I also have a website, davidshurter.com, and I have my contact information in there. So those of you who have problems financially, just contact me and I'll see if I can't get you a book, cheaper. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But it's more about the information getting out there than making a buck for me. I got involved with it. I was really comfortable being crazy. And then when my dad came clean and told me that he had crimes against kids and all of that, really you come to a crossroads. And you think, can I just go on with my life and be happy? Or do I go back and try and change and fix, or try and heal, rather, the stuff that's been done? And by that way, expose it. And so I started to get involved. This whole thing the whole situation started, I called the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I was looking for abductions that happened in Omaha, Nebraska in the 70s, and they only go to 84. So I wanted to have some idea of where to go. So they didn't know where to direct me, but they took an online interview as to why I was looking for this. That happened in November. January, a Nebraska State Patrolman, that I didn't get his name, but he called me and wanted to know specifics of what I was talking about, and gave me the impression that there was something to what I said. And the minute that happened, and I got that somewhat of a validation from the Nebraska State Patrol, I started to look into it further. And the further I looked, I realized that I wasn't as crazy as I wanted to tell myself I was. And in fact, the things that I remembered were not only possible, but probable. And the more I investigated, the worse it got. And it has driven me to my knees more than once. It was with my faith now that I actually am able to stand strong. But there are times when you are faced with the decision to either stand on the side of light and try and bring whatever closure you can to people who have been drastically hurt, or on with your life and live a selfish life. I just couldn't do it. I had to get involved. And so that happened 7 years ago in 2006. And I've been fighting ever since to try and get this all exposed. I've had people threatened. I've been threatened. I had my life threatened. You know, I just, it gets old. You know, you just kind of dismiss it. And it kind of makes you uncomfortable at times, but, you know, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. And sometimes you have to just stand for what is right. And people have become too damn complacent. They don't stand for anything. And the problem is that, you know, it's like what happened in Germany when the guy on the wall at a concentration camp said that when they came for the socialists, I did nothing because I was a socialist. When they came for the Protestants, I did nothing because I wasn't a Protestant. You know, it goes on, but at the very end it says, when they came for me, there was no one left to stand. That's the thing is that we all need to get together and start to realize that we need one another. Stop being afraid of each other and start working with each other.
All right, you've opened a. Okay, take a breath. Take a breath here, because you've opened the door to exactly what I want to talk about. It's exactly what I want to talk about. It's I have been reporting on this whole New World Order, your situation. You know, I've had Maureen Gosh on. I've tried to pass on the information. You know, sometimes that gets a little depressing because everybody's calling you a racist, calling you this name or this name or this name, because you dared to look in the ethnicity of the people who were orchestrating this. And it's divide and conquer. That's what they've done. That's what they always do. This is timeless here. And the proof is that whether you're Republican or Democrat, whatever you voted for didn't work, did it? Because you're being controlled. You're being told who you can vote for, and the only people they tell you about that you can vote for are the people that work for the bankers. Now, does that mean every banker out there is a child molester? No, it doesn't. But you've got, what we've got here is a battle between good and evil. Is using a child sexually good, or is that evil? I mean, it ought to be pretty easy for people to understand, and yet they don't. Now, what I propose after looking at all this, after having people like you on the show here, what you have stated is an absolute fact. If we continue to fall for their lies, their programs, their way of thinking, you're lost. You have lost your way, you've lost your sense of direction.
We're doomed to fail.
And I propose to give that back to you.
And doomed to fail.
I beg your pardon? Repeat?
Well, if you choose that path, you're doomed to fail. No, it's just, there's no way that we can continue with things going on the way they are. And I do have, you know, I get a lot of validation because I have been, like you, for the last 7 years, I've been talking nothing about it. This isn't a thing. I mean, yes, Satanism is involved and MK and Ultra is involved, but there was child trafficking. That was what was making the money. That and the cocaine that they were bringing in at Offutt Air Force Base. And so the thing about it is that they're using all of this illicit and illegal activity to fund the very things that we find wrong in society. And now people are starting to talk about human trafficking a lot more. And they're starting to wake up and start to realize, because eventually you're going to find out that human trafficking is not the 2 or 3 black guys who live in the ghetto who have, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 white girls, they're pimping out. It's way more vast. And our media downplays it. It does. Our media doesn't tell us the truth at all, ever. You know, they make up news. And when they are wrong, they never go back and say they're wrong. It's almost like a faux pas for them to go say that they're wrong. They just keep reporting. The damage that our government is doing to the people by dumbing them down, because our kids, statistics show that 50% of our graduating students aren't at a proficient reading level. That is really, really seriously wrong. You know, they're easier to control, and they're starting to wake up. People are just starting to realize that conspiracies do in fact exist, and that the people who have been saying this for years, who have been deemed crazy and you know, conspiracy theorists, and, you know, just discredited in every single way. Everyone's starting to realize that you guys all had a point. You know, the people who had the signs that were saying, you know, the placards. You always see the crazy people. They want to say, oh, they're conspiracy theorists, and put you with the placard people. But when it comes down to it, what you guys have been saying since the 60s is real. The problem is that we've let it go for 30 years.
Absolutely.
Because what did they do?
But wait a minute here. Just a moment. Let me correct you. Just a moment. Let me correct you on that. What I've been saying for 30 years has been echoed and re-echoed and re-echoed, and I see it come back to me up on the internet 2 or 3 times a day. People are starting to wake up. You're right about that. Now, what we have to do is give them a direction to go in, because they've been programmed. It's like, how are you going to get them back on the farm after they've seen Perry? This is programmed. They lured the people off of the farms. They closed the farms down. They made it so difficult you couldn't make a living, because if you ain't got kids to help you, you know, farm's a lot of work. And this is a part of the whole attack on the hemp crop.
And there's a lot of bullying.
The hemp crop, the attack on the hemp crop was a crime against America. Go ahead. I'm sorry now. Go ahead, please. You were talking over me. I couldn't hear you. Go ahead and talk. Say again. Go ahead.
In the Midwest, that's a big conversation, because there's so much bullying by Monsanto and raising crops and doing things that the government wants, that if you don't go, and it makes it to where you can't make any money, and so it's crushing the small communities, which are just crumbling, and the fundamental part of our existence is starting to just disintegrate, because they've destroyed the family unit. We have no more family unit. And the people who are family units generally end up spending hours upon hours upon hours programming themselves, watching a little box of flashing pictures. And they're being programmed in a way that is hard. It's hard to wake them up. It is hard to wake them up, but it's starting to happen. And giving them a direction. First, you got to understand where the problem lies and where it is. And I'm telling everyone, look at the money. Look at the money, because all of these people that I'm talking about in the 80s who were involved with Franklin, think about the 80s and what was going on. Everyone was losing their shirts on the savings and loans. Every single person, except Omaha and all those people who were connected in the Republican Party, including Bush, who were connected to Omaha, Nebraska. And Omaha, Nebraska, a little cow town, it is just nothing more than a little city, a little town trying to be a city. They made inordinate amounts of money at that time. How? When everyone else was losing their shirts. Well, they were trafficking kids, they were dealing coke, They, you know, all of this stuff that was going on, they built empires on it. And we allowed them.
Yes, we did.
And now we have the repercussions of having human trafficking and the sexual exploitation of children and sexual abuse at pandemic proportions. And we need to stop it. For everyone to get involved.
If in half the situations that have come across my desk or that I've heard about or had on this radio show, the police have been simply a part of this. They're covering for the powerful people. They're covering for the bankers. You know, they may arrest somebody for taking crap on the police car, but nobody in the banking community gets arrested. And we know that the banksters, the international banks, are coming under fire worldwide for insider trading. This is how they made money in Omaha, insider trading. Well, we're going to sue these airlines. Their stocks are going to go down. It's now what I am proposing here is a reorientation into our thinking. And there's going to be some legal battles with it because they don't want you driving a car that gets better than 50 miles to the gallon. It's illegal. They'll pick up your car and put it in a crusher, you know, if you're getting 70 miles to the gallon. You know, we're controlled by the banks and corporations, and those corporations are your whole medical industry. They are making you sick because they don't make any money off of you if you're well. I mean, isn't that happening too? Isn't you know, all of this psychic trauma, this child abuse? Well, that's certainly going to support the whole psychologist paychecks, huh?
Well, I really do believe that the reason, you know, think about it, they want to pass legislation that any kind of mental disorder is some way to take a person's gun away. But we have 30 million Americans who are all taking antidepressants who would fall under that category. So they're going to get, we have so many people on antidepressants that have inundated our water supply, which is obviously changing the ecological balance of everything. But they're trying to pass legislation now to take away those guns from those people. And I believe the psychological abuse that's going on, it's all psychos. Everything that we've been going through is psychological operations, and they know society well. That's what, when you go to school and you learn about media and you learn about marketing, you learn the parameters of human behavior and all of that. They've just taken it to extreme. And so now they've dumbed everyone down and they're trying to take over. There's enough of us who are aware, who are standing up, who are working together, who are starting to make a difference, because things are starting to come out and differences are starting to be made. You know, it might be a small rumble, but I think the 60s are going to repeat themselves. And I think that, you know, we're going to have some harsh times, because they don't want you. They want you to drive a car with oil. You know, they want us to be controlled by oil. You know, that's the reason why all of the stuff that is good for your house, like solar heat and solar energy and doing all the stuff that you need to do, is like 5 zillion times more expensive than something that's not connected to gas, and natural gas, you know, and
now, let me stop you for just a second. The whole Obama thing or government thing is can you hold on a second? The whole Obama thing is to sell this top of this mountain to a foreign corporation so they can come out and put windmills over there on that vacant lot and pump that electricity that those windmills creates back down to the power company so the power company can charge you for it. I say that God gave us the wind and the sun, God gave us the rain. Why can't, and God gave us every plant on this planet. Why can't we take that back? And all these neighborhoods have been carved out of farmlands. Why don't we take those neighborhoods back to farmlands? Why can't we grow it in our backyard? Why can't we generate, turn our house into an income-producing structure for us? We're already paying for it. Let's fill the roof up with solar, sell it back to the electric company. And if we're growing our own food, we're generating our own power, what do we need the bankers for? What do we need the government for? I think this is what we are seeing now is the results of a psychological operation, you know, painting the Hollywood lifestyle and putting down patriots and putting down farmers as country hicks or whatever, however they do it with their, and they pay a lot of money, pay a lot of big bucks to these psychologists. I'm talking about something totally different here. I'm saying abolish all the laws against victimless crimes, tear down that wall between us and Mexico, and put up tables and let the Mexicans, let the Peruvians, and let the Colombians bring all their cocaine, all their heroin, all their marijuana up here, all their hashish, put it on a table, pay your licensing fee. You're coming up here to sell this. This is the one form of income our country's got. You know, charge them tariffs on everything they bring in. Take it back home. If you want to kill yourself at home, go ahead. If you want, if you're into the homosexual lifestyle, do it in your home. Don't bring it into our schools. Let's take our schools and our children out of the grasp of these programmers, these users, these abusers, these organ harvesters, and let's take it back neighborhood by neighborhood. If we can, if our ideas and my concept is a co-op, so nobody runs this, but whatever you produce, you put into the co-op, and people can pay a 10% commission on what you produce, and you work together. You promote your own neighborhoods. I mean, we carve these neighborhoods out of farms. Why can't we take it back? Why do we have to buy GMO modified crap when you can grow it in your backyard?
Well, they're trying to make that illegal.
Cities and counties, cities or counties are passing legislation.
Look, the biggest thing that we need to do, first of all, though, is start making time for our children. Turn off the idiot box and start spending time with your children. And get involved with your children's lives, you know, and be involved. That's the thing, is that nobody wants to be involved, even in their own kids' lives.
Well, one of the things. Okay, hold on.
There's no time for any families.
Sure.
And that needs to stop.
What I am talking about here, David.
The Gutenberg press divided. I'm sorry.
David, what I'm talking about when I get a chance to talk here is doing exactly that by restoring your home as your farm. Your farm's in your backyard. You can grow 6,000 pounds of food on 1/10 of an acre, and they're doing that in towns all over the country right now. And if you do that and you educate your children, right there on your computer, the same way I'm doing this show right now. You go to timothybiblecollege.org and you sign your kid up, and he's in school, and he'll graduate a hell of a lot sooner with a lot more information, and he'll know what kind of government we have. That would be a constitutional republic, not your friggin' democracy that the politicians like to brag about. We can do this, David. All of the networks here, and we've got money. Ithaca Hours has been in business for 22 years. You can pay for just about anything in New York with an Ithaca Hours. They're doing the same thing in Colorado with a mountain money or mile high hours. They're doing the same thing in California. It's starting to turn around. All of those people that have been listening to us over the years, they've come up with solutions. They got the money. You got the Heritage Siege. Those are available on the internet. Timothy Bible College in the Little Red Schoolhouse. You can. We've got 500 Little Red Schoolhouse children that graduated, adults that graduated and went right into some major colleges, and some of them just stayed with Timothy and are getting their degrees. We can do this. Now, what we're talking about is a co-op now. I couldn't have done this co-op a month ago. I couldn't have done it. 2 months ago, I couldn't have done it. But today, we've got Revolution Radio. We've got the people that know the websites, that know how to set it up, have set it up, and that Liberty Villages, we want to do block by block. If we can, if you just work together in this block, we're going to compete with that block over there to see how much we can produce. Now, we got one of the guys that's got a garage over here. He can make solar panels. Another guy says he's got a lathe over there. He can make some windmills. Why can't we do that? Restore the community, restore money to the community, and restore the productivity of the thing. Did I lose you?
Nope.
Okay,
I'm here.
all right, great.
I agree with what you're having to say.
I mean, this is, if it's good for me, I don't care what religion my next door neighbors are. I don't care what they do in their bedroom, how they do it, and who they do it with. I don't care. It's not any of my it's not any of my problem. The fact that 50 million Americans have gone to jail for something they got in their pocket, I find that offensive. I find that to be a problem. The prison systems are being used, as Ayn Rand said, government's got no control over honest citizens, so they got to make criminals out of us. That's why we have to work as a community. You want to take your Valium, go ahead, just don't drive on it. You want to do your heroin, go ahead, put a little bell around your neck so we can find you if you die, we don't have to house people because they had a little bit of pot on them for $50,000 a year, and we've done that to over 50 million people. I have a little problem with that. What about this? I mean, what I'm talking about is bringing back community. If somebody steals in your neighborhood, you arrest them. You have the cops come pick them up, and they don't get to play in your neighborhood anymore, and your neighbors will back you up. I've seen what neighborhoods can do.
I'm one of those people who I read how much money is in this war on drugs and how much money the government is getting from seized property from this war on drugs. And the whole marijuana thing, as far as I'm concerned, is just another distraction. is like prohibition. The damage that's being done down in these Mexican cartels, everyone is under this impression that it's all because of cocaine or these huge heavy drugs, and don't realize that it's over marijuana. The other thing that I have the problem with is that scientists, many scientists, have said that if we started to grow hemp, we have a chance of reversing what we've done, cutting down the rainforests. And so, you know, that's kind of like a soapbox for me, because I think that really when it comes down to it, I have been around a lot of people. Obviously, I'm 47 years old and pretty much an extrovert. I talk a lot, as you can tell. And I like to get into conversations with people. And I would much rather deal with someone who's just smoked a bowl than someone who's had 12 drinks and is a complete and utter disaster. You know, it's just.
Well,
I think that this whole pot thing is being stopped by the pharmaceutical companies.
Yes.
Who develop customers, not cures.
Yes, and you know, David, I wrote a novel about this about 45 years ago, maybe approaching 50 now. It was a science fiction novel about the United States and a future time when all laws against victimless crimes had been abolished. And in 46 states, true freedom reigned. You could walk into a store, buy anything. You could do anything that you wanted as long as you didn't harm no one else. And it was a different kind of society. No corporations, no corporate farms, you know, people feeding themselves, taking care of each other, having wonderful neighborhoods. It was science fiction then, but in the last 45 years of research I've done to be able to edit my own work, a lot of what I predicted, a lot of what I saw is happening now. And I'd like to see this whole Liberty Village movement. What's wrong with self-sufficiency? What is wrong with that? And already now in Colorado right now, the first hemp farm has been started since about 1914. A $10 bill or $20 bill, I'm not sure which it was now, was issued with a hemp farm on the back. We need that back. That whole our $1 billion crop was stolen from us by communists. You know, don't check their ID, don't know what ethnic group, but they stole it. It went to Russia, it went to Red China, it went to Canada, it went to Mexico, it went to Colombia. But you can't grow it here without going to jail. In my novels, I changed that. When I wrote about that, it was you could get busted for pot in 50 states. Now you got 19, you might be able to slide. If you suck up to the doctors. And I'm not in favor of that either. You know, if you can grow it in your backyard, you ought to be able to grow it in your backyard. That's it. I mean, whether it's tomatoes or cocaine trees, I don't care. Grow whatever you can grow. And in California now, because of the medical marijuana thing, marijuana, cannabis, hemp is, again, $1 billion crop. And the bankers hate that. We stopped the war smoking pot.
For legalizing heavy drugs.
By abolish all laws against victimless crimes.
You know, the thing about it is not all the heavy drugs. I think the drug abusers need treatment, and because basically when it comes down to it, when you're spending the rest of your whole life doing drugs, which a lot of those are highly addictive, when you look at the countries over Europe who have legalized drugs, the usage has actually gone down. And so, as far as the United States goes, it's only a matter of time before we break apart. Because we're like Rome. There's too many of us. And you can't control us. Martial law will never work. Because people are never going to get rid of their guns. And if the government actually tries to stand up against people, boy, that's when the people are going to rise up.
It only takes one, you know. It only takes one. Only takes one. I call her my get a gun gun. You know, you can use that to take one from that guy with the blue helmet on. You know?
We need to get more educated.
We also need to get.
I don't actually have a gun myself.
We have to get a part of it's education, you know, and a lot of this education we've just forgotten. My grandmother used to can. She used to, you know, prepare food, dry it. You know, my dad had a garden, and we've forgotten all that. At least all the girlfriends I had forgot about it. You know, they don't know how to keep a home going, how to keep the food going. And I think that's something we need to relearn and rethink. They are passing legislation to say that you can do exactly what I'm describing wherever you're at. God gave you the right to grow your own food.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Because there's also, I've heard tell on Facebook, I'm not quite sure how true it is, but people are getting their gardens that are in their yards destroyed because the government wants to stop it. And
they
so
will.
I didn't know that there was legislation trying to make that happen.
They will try to do that.
I had heard on Facebook just the opposite. And I think growing up, I have a cookbook. It's from the Great Depression. And man, you read what people had to go through in the Great Depression. You get a good appreciation of what we're going through right now. We are spoiled.
Yeah, it's been. You talk about the colleges and the schools and everything being dumbed down. Well, we're just as much a result of that. Obviously, we've been dumbed down too, so it's really a matter of restoring it. And I think to do this, we really got to do it by example. A lot of people, that's why I'm so excited about Revolution Radio. You got people on there that know how to do websites. You know people that are growing gardens, that are operating farms. And the foundation of every civilization was self-sufficient family farms. And we're doing that. We've been doing that for years. This whole organic movement.
People made it through the Great Depression.
That's right. There were people that remembered from what they went through.
With hippies, though.
Yeah, well, that's bullshit. I mean, you know, I had a few people mistake me for a hippie. My hair is long. I like smoke. You know, they didn't see the Harley parked outside, I guess. But it's a matter of working together here. We can do this in our own neighborhood. Are you there, David? Did I lose you?
Yeah, I neighbor whose husband. Yes, I'm here. Nope, I'm here.
Okay, you're breaking up. You're breaking up a little bit, but I can hear you now. You've been breaking up here, and there was a short time there when I couldn't hear you there.
Oh, okay.
But I can hear you now. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And now yard and clean it out. So we have quite a nice garden.
Why can't everybody on one block, if everybody on one block got together and said, hey,
that's what we did.
Wonderful. It's a success story. It works.
And it works. I'm just telling you, it works.
What? Where at? Where are you? What's your neighborhood?
And it brings people together, and it puts work back in, and
I've lost you for a second here. I think this is on David's end, Richard. I'm not sure.
Am I alone?
No, I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you for a second.
Okay, you're back now.
On your end, please.
Okay.
David. Well, I can hear David the whole time.
Okay. I couldn't hear him here.
You can.
Oh.
Finish your last statement there, or repeat your last statement there, David. You've got a neighborhood that works. What I'm talking about will work. What I'm talking about is a co-op. What I'm talking about is a co-op. Neighbors working together. 10% goes to the co-op. Community co-op. And the community co-op can be run on Ithaca hours, you know. You can scribble IOUs, it'll work just as well. But the money's pretty.
Well, we also need to go back to a time when we can do favors for each other and we're not putting a financial grasp on every single thing that we do. And reach out to people. And even those people who are poor, I always say reach out, and at least with a smile, because that makes a difference. You know, it's little things. It starts with little things, and it goes to bigger things. And knowing your neighbors, I've always been a person who knows my neighbors. I like to know my neighbors. I like to be friends with my neighbors. People to know one another. When you work together as a neighborhood and getting together maybe once a year, maybe having a block party or something, to get to know your neighbors, it makes you less afraid and it gives you more of a grounding as to what's going on. That's what's happened with these small towns, is that the big cities have drawn everybody into them because there's no work out there unless you're going to be a farmer. And the farms are crumbling because Monsanto's taking over everything. This whole New World Order thing that everyone has been warned about over and over and over that they thought was a big conspiracy theory is now all coming true. And people are just, they need to wake up and start working at it to fix it before it's too late.
Well,
and
a lot of the people...
I'll get off my soapbox.
A lot of the people out there have been working on that. They have done that, and I'm bringing those people to you right now. You're an example. You have done that. You are growing food. You're not going to starve to death if the truck stopped running. You're not going to, if you've made some preparations and you put up some solar, you may still have a little bit of light and a little bit of juice in your cell phone if you got an EMP blast here. If somebody sets off an atomic bomb or all your phone lines get blown over, you know, there's always incidences to prepare for. I've been through hurricanes. You can survive them if you think about it. If you just think about what have I got to do to survive this? As a neighborhood, we've got to do that. And I've seen it go from worse. It was worse down in Homestead than it was up on County Line Road where I was. We were able to, and we went down and helped them. It was neighbors taking care of neighbors, with the motormen leading us down, and a bunch of pickups filled with stuff going down to the victims of Hurricane Andrew. That's what I want, not the 400,000 well-armed, well-trained, organized, disciplined troops to control the American people. That's what FEMA wants. That's in my film, True Face of FEMA, where in case of a single outbreak of smallpox, we'll need 400,000 troops to vaccinate those Americans because some of them just won't follow orders. Now, the way to prepare for that is exactly what you have done in your neighborhood, in my opinion. If you've got a few solar units up on a few of the houses there, then you've got everything that I suggested totally.
There's some farms out there that are putting up their own little windmill stuff and doing the wind generators. Those are like the newest thing. And so it's nice to see. And I think that what happens is, I know of one in particular that's right outside of town, and it's big enough. I think what they did was do it as a neighborhood, just like what you were talking about. And they're all connected to it. So, people just, again, need to reach out to each other. We need to do small things. Smile at each other. Smile at each other. If that's the only thing you can start off with, smile at each other, but start to realize that we all need each other. Our communities must come back together. This whole homosexual issue, it's nobody's concern who's sleeping with anybody else, and our children don't need to be led to all of this. It's already confusing enough to be a child and a teenager without inundating them with things that they don't need to be. I'm one of those people who we need to come back to the basics. We need to realize that our children are, little sponges, and they absorb everything. And if they're sitting around playing video games or watching television for 12 hours a day, that's what they're programming their minds to think about. And it needs to stop. We need to start getting involved as a community and start supporting our kids. I'm right there with you, Clay. You're preaching to the choir here, because everything you said is absolutely correct. We need a return to community and family, and our government needs to be put under control by the people. And it has to be done on a peaceful level, because we've all had enough war. I think we're all tired of it. So now when wars happen, we don't even care anymore. The only people who care are who are fighting it, coming hurt and not getting any help. Government sucks. We need to take control. It's road. It's running road. And I just think that people like you, Clay, who have been talking about this for years, are starting to be listened to for the first time. Instead of thinking, oh, he's just a hippie, he has longer hair, and you know, he believes in smoking and, oh, he just has radical ideas. But all the ideas that you're talking about are not radical. They're not radical. They were fundamental of the 60s, and the 60s had it correct. We just deviated from it.
Well, they took over the Clear Channel. Clear Channel took over, and we don't get any patriotic songs anymore. You don't get any Steppenwolf, Country Joe and the Fish. You don't get any of that. You don't get anything urging you to be patriotic anymore, unless it's, you know, bomb Iran. It's this is really a matter of survival. I think that we are at the end times. I think we are at the end times here. And they have attacked us. They are attacking us. They are attacking our families. They are those chemtrails in the air. We know what they are. We know what they. We know where they're kept. Why hasn't any independent scientific organizations checked those chemtrails before they left? Checked those planes. Why hasn't any aircraft forced them down? And how bad it is affecting us. I mean, they've got signs up on Mount Rainier and Mount Shasta warning you to not eat the snow. So it's obviously it's poisoned with aluminum.
Ew. Well,
I mean, you can't even eat a white snow. You know, they warn you about the yellow snow, but the white snow now, you got warnings up about that too. It's if we don't get back to the community that you're talking about, we can't change the world without a few million people. Now, they did that in Egypt, and I think we can do that in America without ever leaving our house. If we sign on to this co-op, if we start communicating each other, if we build up the lines of communication, and that can be a $5 ad. He's saying, hey, I can do this, I can do that. I need to, you know, I'm a carpenter, I'm looking for work. You know, I'm a veteran, I'm looking for a place to stay. I'm looking for a place to build. You know, if it's really kind of simple, folks. You turn your home into a source of income, whether it's food in the backyard or solar on the roof. And you start enjoying life again. I mean, they have got us, be afraid, be very afraid, do this, do that. Well, look out. Oh, you got global warming, global warming. Let's see here, we got somebody who says, patriotism only funnels people into the blind support of the military complex, which is a tool of the corporation. Anyway, so who needs patriotism on this part? Another fairly intelligent question and suggestion, but told from a negativity point of view. You need your patriotism because I'm proud to be a Texan, and if you don't like Texas, you can kiss my ass. How about that? That's my form of patriotism. Don't mean I hate anybody from Louisiana. Don't mean I hate anybody from Oklahoma, unless, of course, they refer to Texas as Baja, Oklahoma. Then, you know, somebody's got to get their ass kicked. But the patriotism in the United States is I took an oath to defend this Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, if you don't like that kind of patriotism, you can kiss my ass and get out of my room and turn off the radio because you're too goddamn dumb to tolerate. We can do this in America. We built America. Just rolling across here in covered wagons with a little bit of silver in the bottom of the rain barrel. Come on, folks. We've done this before. We became the #1 power in the world by working together, by supporting our farmers, and then the banks moved in and closed the farms down. And then they want to set you against each other, want to tell you patriotism is not good, want to tell you Christianity isn't good. Yeah, some of it ain't. Some of the Jews ain't good either. Some of so what do? We work together. You overlook the fact that I'm an old redneck biker and I tell you to kiss my ass, looking you right in the eye, and understand that I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for America. I'm fighting for our children, and that's why I've got a gentleman on like David Shurter here. Shurter. David, I appreciate you being on. I'll be glad to have you back. We can work together here. We can do this. If it's good for me and it's good for my neighbor, I don't care whether she's Jewish. I don't care whether she goes to, the temple on Sunday. I don't care. Live your life, take care of your family, and take care of your neighbor, whoever that neighbor is here. I don't see the problem with it. I don't see how it's that hard to do.
We're going to have to.
All right. God bless you.
We're going to have to reach out.
It's clay@freeamerican.com. If you want to be a part of Liberty Village, send me that in your header. Okay. All right. Thanks for being on with me, David. Are we off here, Richard?
Hey, thank you, Clay. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
No, we're still on air, guys. I didn't hear it. No break music or anything.
Okay, I got 10:58. I thought they started they started the music 5 minutes ago, or 3 minutes ago, something like that. Anyway, we are putting we are putting this co-op together. It'll be it'll be handled in a great way, and okay, we're clay@freeamerican.com. Send me a note. We'll be working on the articles. We'll be working on the flyers, all the while we're doing this. And again, I really appreciate having you on, David, and that's davidshurter.com, DavidShurter.com. And if you don't mind a little adult language, you might read some of my books. And you can do that at shop.freeamerican.com. I got 11 o'clock. What time are we gone yet? Or my watch is on?
No, we're still on air just because I haven't heard the break music yet. We might as well jump off, I guess, because someone else should be picking up the server here. So yeah, we'll call her a day, I guess.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate it.
Have a nice
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.